we're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaintop in the Swamp. This is Derek Farmer, the Derek Farmer Network. And tonight we're going to be going over the twining memo. The twining memo. What is that? What does it mean? And who is it relevant for? So, twining was a military, General Twining, of course, active part of World War II. I don't know a lot of the history on the man himself, other than he played a very important part in the war and also was a confidant of both Roosevelt and Truman. So, as we sort of go back and talk about this phenomenon happening, everybody kind of uses the Roswell crash of July 1947 to sort of gauge the modern day of UFO crashes. Again, if you're just joining me, my name's Derek Farmer. I am from Kalamazoo, Michigan. A couple things I don't bullshit about my name and where I'm from. In the background, if you see movement, that is the dog I foster temporarily named Thad. He's a good boy, and I love him. I think what the important thing to remember here, because authenticity oftentimes with these older documents can be an issue in terms of provenance and excuse me, and just being able to prove, I mean, if something says September 1947, who's to say it wasn't October 1948 if it's part of a misinformation campaign? Because misinformation campaigns, aren't a new idea. It's not something that just started. It's something that militaries around the world for generations of people have been using. If you go all the way back, in fact, to the wooden horse that was used in the battle at Troy, a site that was just figured to be part of the lore of humanity via, whatever book that was that sort of set the standard for, whether it's the Iliad. I look, I don't know, the Iliad or one of these travelers from Greek or Rome who have run across these stories, back in 2000 BCE. Or something like that. Trismegistus, I think, is one name that was a traveler who went to ancient Egypt. And in fact, if you look at ancient Egypt, much of it is structured. Of course, the Romans after what was it, Cleopatra? Fucking get asshole cancer, you cocksucking Elon motherfucker. Anyways, the lore was even at that time something that was considered to be a story. Decided to use the Bible most literally in terms of its archaeological information, places, dates, cross sections of cultures, things like that, to narrow down the fact that some things in that Bible actually lead to real physical places and things. And as a result of that, of course, as we know, Troy was found and discovered, and that archaeological site secured. So it's not a fake story. Now, did a bunch of soldiers hide inside of a giant wooden horse, or is that the lore? I'm not sure they found a horse, but that is the story. That a giant wooden horse was built. It was rolled in behind the walls, thinking that it was a gift. And then out of the center of this giant wooden horse poured hundreds of Roman. I guess I don't know which side it was. I guess if they're in Troy battle, probably Roman soldiers or something like that. Someone can correct me on the exact culture and history. I'm not an ancient historian. But anyways, it goes on to show you that sometimes lore can equal truth. That not every time we talk about these things in antiquity do they not marinate over the millennia into reality. And I find that highly interesting. You know, I was just watching a program about 33 mysterious earthworks in Ohio, right here in America. They weren't going into the more salacious double rows of teeth of, 12-foot tall giants. And I'm not giving any, I do think there's something to the Smithsonian and the Smithton family working via the control group, even all the way back then. All the way back then. Because listen, if there were items around this planet of ancient antiquity back then, of course, I mean, the Smithton family was funded in perpetuity by Congress over 200 years ago. What gets funded by our Congress for the length of our country? Just funded forever, no questions asked. Well, the Smithsonian does. Why? Below the Smithsonian, I believe, is a catacomb, much like the Vatican. Washington, D.C. is very anomalous, very Freemason-ish. Things are built in a specific way. So is Detroit, believe it or not. Detroit is built like a wagon wheel. A lot of more major metropolitan areas work on a grid system. So if you're just coming into the show, people are popping in and popping out. That's fine. This will be here recorded in perpetuity. I wasn't even planning on doing this broadcast. I said, what are you going to do a show on tonight? I had been thinking about this Twining memo and the importance of some of these memos in our history. So whether or not anyone's watching right now, it doesn't matter. And by the way, welcome. It's midnight in Michigan. Anomalous Michigan, where things continue to be strange all the time. Give me a moment. So yeah, as we talk about this memo, it's not a very long memo. It's something we can get through pretty quick. And I think you guys are going to find it really interesting. I mean, I found it highly interesting that a general in 1947 is taking the time to note this memo to the President of the United States or to whatever control group he may be writing it to. With that, we're going to get into the memo. Okay, 1 second so I can share that with you guys. Give me just a moment. Here we go. And here we go. Okay, you guys, blow up your screens if you need to. I oftentimes don't know how to operate the equipment properly, and so blowing that up for you in my little box, and my area, is difficult. And if I start doing that, then it throws other things off. So, anyways, here we go. Let's start it out. Here in the upper right-hand corner, you can see some handwritten stuff. You can see that clearly there are some numbers, a dash indicating this says November 10, September 46. So this here may be in regards to something else that has already been written about. They may be referring right here. I don't know if I guess you guys can't see my cursor, but they may be referring to this upper left-hand corner number. Okay, then here in the center, NND 760168 CAS mark. Okay, again, this is one of those documents that has, I believe, been authenticated in terms of ink dating, in terms of vernacular used at the time, and typeset used. to say capture some Chinese communications. Well, if the ink is made somewhere else and the paper is made somewhere else, is that really Chinese, or is it misinformation from an enemy trying to make you think something else is happening? You see, this is why you need document authentication experts, which not Ryan, rather, his father, Robert Wood, was. He's now passed. They both, that foundation has donated tons to public broadcasting over the years. Anybody who's ever listened to PBS or NPR, mostly NPR, will hear, sponsored by the Robert and Ryan S. Wood Foundation. Anyways, this is headquarters, AMC, Air Material Command. Here we have just a bunch of letters and crap, but notice, folks, where this memo is coming out of. Right field, Dayton, Ohio. What is right field, Dayton, Ohio? Well, that is where we had our foreign foreign intelligence division that would basically capture any or any devices that could be reverse engineered. In fact, a Soviet MiG was reverse engineered there, famously. But also provides the same infrastructure to this day and they're dealing with orbs even right up until this moment. In fact, President Trump spoke about orbs over Wright-Patterson and whatever they're calling it now. Subject, AMC opinion concerning quote unquote flying discs. Okay, guys, we're talking September 23rd, rather, 1947. Flying discs? What? To the commanding general, Army Air Forces. So this is probably going to just predate when I believe it would have been Truman at this time would have signed the National Security Act was at that time, creating the CIA, the SecDef, Secretary of Defense. So Army Air Forces probably, again, refers to a segment of the military that doesn't exist anymore. Washington, 25 D.C. Attention, Brigadier General George Shulgin, I'm not sure. 1. As requested by ACAS-2, there is presented below, and we're getting into the document now, the considered opinion of this command concerning the so-called, quote-unquote, flying discs. When you have no teeth, it kind of sounds like flying dicks, and that's okay. This opinion is based on interrogation report data furnished by ACAS-2 and preliminary studies by personnel of T2 and Aircraft Laboratory, Engineering Division T3. This opinion was arrived at in a conference between personnel from the Air Institute of Technology, Intelligence T2 Office, Chief of Engineering Division, and the Aircraft, Power Plant, and Propeller Laboratories of Engineering Division T3. Okay, we go on. 2. It is the opinion that A, the phenomenon. Now, here, this is spoken about even to this day by high-ranking military officials, whether it be the Collins elite, whether it be members of the unknown control group, or just members of people that deal with this on a military level, almost exclusively refer to this as the phenomenon. An overarching word to sort of explain everything going on. Let's go on. It is the opinion that A, the phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious. Okay, that's important. This is a general of World War II. The man put his life, many lives on the line to protect us from fascism. And he's coming out and telling you here as a real American, the phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious. Quite frankly, you guys, they keep talking about disclosure, and people want to keep asking me and everybody out there, well, do you believe UFOs are real? We shouldn't have to believe it. We have a military general who helped win us World War II telling us the phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious. Google what those words mean if you have a question about it. B, there are objects probably approximating the shape of a disc of such appreciable size as to appear to be as large as man-made aircraft. Wow, what a statement. What a statement by a man who has seen it all. This man has seen people tortured, killed, fields of blood, machines that stomp over you, gases that explode around you. And he is saying it's real. You know what? I'm going to take this fine American's word for it. Let's move on to C. There is possibility that some of the incidents may be caused by natural phenomena, such as meteors. Of course. Of course. Not everything in the sky is from another dimension, time, space, below our feet, or therefore from another planet also, or possibly from some kind of unknown time travel shenanigans. D, the reported operating characteristics such as extreme rates of climb, maneuverability, particularly in roll, and action which must be considered evasive, underscore, when sighted or contacted by friendly aircraft and radar. Friendly is somewhat questionable. Of course, friendly means more in the lingo of aircraft talk. Friendly being, hey, we're a control tower. We're contacting you. Who are you? Please tell us who you are. This is who we are. That's what that means. But don't overstate the word friendly because, they're ready to take you out if they can. Right. And so any advanced craft that's able to come here is going to know if they're locked onto whatever. They're going to know. They can say all they want to over that microphone to whatever is flying that thing, whatever entity is flying that, or entities. But they may know more than that just based on what they can sort of key into in our technology. Or for that matter, if you want to talk the woo-woo, what we're thinking in our brain. And I got another story about that, about a secret UFO base in the Bermuda Triangle. And action which must be considered evasive when sighted or contacted by friendly aircraft and radar. Lend belief to the possibility that some of the objects are controlled either manually, automatically, or remotely. So either somebody's flying it or what we would call today a drone. They just didn't use that word. E, the apparent common description of the objects is as follows. 1, metallic or light reflecting surface. Here we have some more coded stuff that I don't understand. Okay. Continuing on here to number 2. Absence of trail except in a few instances when the object apparently was operating under high performance conditions. Absence of trail except in a few instances when the object apparently was operating. So if these things really turn on, in other words, you may notice some kind of warp behind it, or perhaps even some kind of contrail. Not really sure exactly what they're referring to. 3, circular or elliptical in shape, flat on bottom and domed on top. 4, you guys, this is a military general that helped win World War II, writing to the, this gets to Truman. This memo gets to Truman, the president who dropped the only atomic bombs ever in the history of our planet. A lot of synchronicities, guys. And this here, September 1947, only a couple months after the Roswell incident, after Kenneth Arnold's sighting, and after several other things that had already happened. Magenta, Cape Girardeau, where Rush Limbaugh's father helped cover up a UFO crash. Rush Limbaugh's father in Cape Girardeau helped cover up a UFO wreck in 1941, giving it a Christian burial. He was on the town council and helped bury it, literally and figuratively. Okay? These things have been happening under our noses for decades. While they left us toiling in the 50s and the 60s, and even when I was a kid in the 70s watching all these shows on TV, oh, man, could this really? My grandpa would look at me and say, Derek, do you believe in UFOs? Do you think this is real? And I mean, I'm a little kid, 6. So the psychology they already have going into your head. Why? Why all this chatter? Number 4, several reports of well-kept information. I'm sorry, let me start over. Number 4, several reports of well-kept formation flights varying from 3 to 9 objects. 3, of course, representing the triangle, 9 representing what I would believe to be the delta wing, in my opinion. If you're looking at that with 4 on each side of the wing and 1 in the middle is going to be looking as a delta wing, 9 objects. Think about March 1996 in Phoenix, Arizona. Number 5, normally, no associated sound. Something that nearly every single person, including myself, who's recorded, seen, or done anything with one of these phenomenon, reports no sound. In fact, of the 3 instances I have seen UAP, whatever, there has been 0 sound. Except in 3 instances, a substantial rumbling or roar was noted. So this is early on, and this is when a lot of our modern activity starts to really crank up. They're blasting and shooting off nuclear weapons into the atmosphere at this point, below the ocean, where there's probably bases from these things. So you want to go, well, what do they care if they're so advanced and tough? What do they care we light off a few nukes? Well, if we're lighting them off in the ocean to test them out and they got a home down there, maybe they care about that, huh? Of course, we know that bluegill triple prime, subset fishbowl, subset from Operation Dominic has to do with a nuke exploding in the atmosphere for the fact to bring down a tag along, which both Kennedy and Johnson personally went to Sandia Labs to check out. Guys, this has been with us a long time. People were murdered. Including possibly a president. Number 5, normally no associated sound except in 3 instances. I'd venture to say by now that the instances are multi-level and different. Number 6, level flight speeds normally above 300 knots are estimated. F, it is possible within the present U.S. knowledge, provided extensive detailed development is undertaken to construct a piloted aircraft, which has the general description of the object in subparagraph E. Remember subparagraph E, let's go back. The apparent common description of the object is as follows: metallic or light reflecting surface. So they're saying, well, we have the ability to make an airship with a metallic or light reflecting surface. Oh, cool. Because that's not really describing what we're talking about. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Whoops, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. F, it is possible within the present U.S. knowledge, provided extensive detailed development is undertaken, to construct a piloted aircraft which has a general description in subparagraph E, above which would be capable of an approximate range of 7,000 miles of subsonic speeds, 1947, with current knowledge. Okay. G, any developments in this country along the lines indicated would be extremely expensive, time-consuming, and at the considerable expense of current projects, and therefore, if directed, should be set up independently of existing projects. Hello, black budget. How you doing? How about you murder some good innocent Americans to keep your secrets? H, due consideration must be given the following. 1, the possibility that these objects are of domestic origin, the product of some high security project not known to ACAS-2. Oh, wait, let me say that over. AC-AS-2. Or this command, Air Material Command. The lack of physical evidence in the shape of crash recovered exhibits which would undeniably prove the existence of these objects. So they're saying, look, I mean, people are seeing them crash. We got all these stories, but where's the physical evidence? Of course, we know that by September of 1947, there are several locations that could house this stuff. 3, the possibility that some foreign nation has a form of propulsion, possibly nuclear, which is outside our domestic knowledge. Worst case scenario, in my opinion. Because we know already that we have enemies on this planet. Ones that, if they had that technology, would use it in a moment to eliminate us from this planet. 3, overall, it is recommended that Headquarters Army Air Forces issues a directive assigning a priority, security classification, and code name for a detailed study of this matter to include the preparation of complete sets of all available and pertinent data, which will then be made available to the Army, Navy, Atomic Energy Commission, JRD3, and Air Force Scientific Advisory Group, NACA, and the RAND and NEPA projects for comments and recommendations, with a preliminary report to be forwarded within 15 days of receipt of the data and a detailed report thereafter every 30 days as investigated. So they're calling for a preliminary twice a month and a full-on report every month. Woo! A lot of activity for something they don't acknowledge exists. A lot of movement within several different departments, if you will. Okay. A complete interchange of data should be effected. Number 4, awaiting a specific directive, Air Material Command will continue the investigation within its current resources in order to more closely define the nature of the phenomenon. Detailed essential elements of information will be formulated immediately and transmittal through channels. Nathan Twining, Lieutenant General, USA, commanding. Copy from the National Archives, records of the Army Air Forces, and some more of this stuff down here. And that's it. That's that memo. Let me get rid of that. Hey, everybody. I didn't know if anybody was here because as I was reading that, I cannot see what's going on. Of course, on the other screen. So I didn't know. I'm glad to see at least a couple people here. I got through a lot of that without anyone being here. Like to say hello and good evening, of course, to our friends Mustang and Boston. And I sure appreciate you taking a couple minutes to be here. It's been a rough day. It's been a tough day. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. We got a plan. We got a plan. Yeah, I just I won't even go into it because we're not going to do negative talk. This isn't the Derek Farmer negative hour. It's the Derek Farmer you can get it done hour. That no matter what, you just got to keep working. But what did you guys think of that? Don't you find that? I don't know why I exited out of there completely. That was not very smart. No, we can't go over it. Don't you guys find that highly interesting that these conversations are going on at such a high level at such an early time in our country? When here you go, 1947, nearly, what would that be? 80, 90 years later, and they still refuse to even acknowledge that they have a memo like that. Hey, Dirty Diana, nice to see you. Mustang saying hey to Dirty Diana. Yeah, 1947. That's when that memo came out. It would have come out September. I mean, Roswell happened in July, early July. You got July, August, September, October. I mean, no, less than 2 months after Roswell, that memo came out. And that wasn't even the memo I was looking for. The memo I was actually looking for was a memo addressed from one general to one president, Roosevelt, I believe at the time, talking about the craft that they actually recovered. I'm going to dig that one out. We'll go over that next time I do one of these. Oh, thanks, Mustang. Thank you, Mustang. That's sweet. You shared my link? I can't see any of that stuff here if I'm on. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get some. It wouldn't hurt to get a few viewers, I suppose. You guys, I'm not opposed to any. I know I make it sound like I'm opposed to you guys liking or sharing the show. Like, don't even think about doing it. And that's not the case at all. I love it when you guys do that stuff. I'm just not going to sit here and beg you for it all night. And nor do I think you want me to do that. But I'm very appreciative when you take the time to do that. I want you to know that. Oh, thank you, Mustang. That's awesome. Yeah, because, I mean, it's not our dirty little secret, this whole show. The whole idea is that we can hopefully share it with others. If it ever gets to a point of 1,000 subscribers or more, Well, then, it goes from there, but there won't be membership fees. I can guarantee you that. I ain't charging no membership to listen to me yammer on about all this shit. You want to tune in, tune in. But there will be more options in terms of, just like any other channel. Oh, what did you witness again that night? Which night? Boston, I've had 3 experiences. Which one are you referring to? I mean, I've had 3 experiences with UAP. Clear experiences. I recorded 2 of them. One I gave no credit to until after the other 2, but that predates all of them because it happened on the 4th of July. But what I recorded, oh, okay. Well, that would have been the first one, but I don't believe it to be the best, even though I did record a line of red lights, orb type things going overhead in a straight line, doing kind of geometric patterns, completely silent. It didn't come in real clear. It was out in the country, very dark night, and it was the 4th of July. So I said, well, no one's going to believe this shit on the 4th of July. But in fact, Preston Dennett, famous UFO researcher, has done plenty of broadcasting on, in fact, holidays like the 4th of July, where people are naturally looking up in the sky. They have a tendency to appear more, right? Because then the questions are, look, there's a trickster element to this stuff. If these NHI or these phenomenons wanted to be honest and let themselves out of the closet, so to speak, there's no reason they can't open the door and do so. So I don't trust them. I don't trust the government, whoever's covering it up, the control group. And I don't know if one hand knows who the other ass's hand is scratching or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're all aware of each other, but maybe they don't know within their inner workings what they're doing. Okay. But okay, yeah, Boston. I mean, I think my first interesting one was the one that didn't get recorded. It was the most impactful on me personally. Even that orb video that I sent to crime scene reconstruction specialist Scotty Roeder that he verified for me. It's interesting. Yeah, you can see 2 giant discs up in the sky turning. Looks like a big blob of flame. I have no idea what that is. Same plasma balls people are seeing all over the planet. And it's nothing that other people aren't seeing. I'm not alone in what I'm seeing. But to answer your question, it was that one, in fact, that if you go to my short section, it's one that I missed with the camera, but I recorded 1 second after it flew away. And you'll hear me saying, my God, there was just a UFO right there. It was 3:30 in the morning, and over 3 ponds in Kalamazoo, 3 little ponds that are downtown area. It's called 3 ponds. They're grubby little, the center of Kalamazoo was a swamp until they filled it in. All of Portage was a swamp until we filled that in with all of Kalamazoo's garbage. You're welcome, Portage, you bunch of uptight bitches. And no, yeah, yes, Boston, yeah, yes. It had to be some kind of black color because it was 3:30 in the morning. It was August 2023, only mere months before I recorded that one that I sent to Scott Roeder. And I'm driving west on Balch, and I'm about to turn north on Park Street, a one-way that runs right next to 3 ponds. 3 ponds would be off to the east of Park Street. Across from that, to the west of Park Street, is a defunct weedy parking lot that used to do something else. I can't even remember what it was for originally. It's just a big empty parking lot. It's kind of a ugly, blighted area right there. And it always floods. Anytime it rains, they've never been able to get the water flow right over there between the ponds, and the road will flood over. Just a smelly area. So I'm driving down Ball Street. It is 3:30 in the morning. I get done with my DoorDash delivery. Probably getting ready to end my shift, probably stoned, probably driving around smoking a doobie. There's no one on the road. You know how they say, like, when people have their experiences, I don't know, usually there'd be a car somewhere or somebody around, but there was nobody. It's true. There was not one person on the road when I had this experience that could have witnessed it with me, that I could see anywhere around. I know it was late, but it runs next to a road called Crosstown Parkway. And that road goes right to our main city police station. So typically Crosstown Parkway and North Park Street and South Westnedge, if you guys want to bother to Google that, Sometime I could actually put up a map and just show you exactly. But anyways, to go on, Boston, I see as I'm driving, do, drop off my thing, smoking my weed, which I don't have any of tonight. Unfortunately, I got this stupid stick. I don't have coffee. I ain't got shit. Tomorrow I'll be good again, but I'm going through it today. At least I have a cigarette. I said, man, just get on the air and broadcast. You don't need weed. You don't need a beer. You don't need anything to talk. You do just fine naturally. Turn it on and go. That's what I did. But anyways, I'm driving down Ball Street. I'm about to take a right or go north on Park Street. It's a one-way. And as I glance up, actually, as I'm driving to turn left onto Ball Street, it was off another side ancillary road. I see above 3 ponds, 1, 2, 3 very bright green LED style orbs. I say LED style because I can't think of a brighter green other than a brand new street light. The new updated brand new street lights where the green almost blinds you at night. It's like really intense. But they're round and it's large. Like the size, the light pattern, I couldn't see the middle. So when you asked me, was it a weird black color? Well, it was black outside and I couldn't see the middle but now listen, in the middle was a large red light. So on each corner was a small green light, very intense. In the middle, one that was at least 10 times larger than the outside lights. In the middle, that was red. A deep, deep red. Reminded me of a Michigan State police car bubble. Ever since I've been a kid in Michigan, our state police cars have only had one single bubble on top. That's kind of our thing, you know. We don't have the big rack across there. It's just one single bubble. Like, you know, Columbo's chasing your ass down. Like, go get him, boy. You know, put it on the car. And but it wasn't spinning around like a police bubble would. It was fading in and fading out. Now, keep note that the lights wouldn't stay on at the same time. They were never on at the same time. The green ones would fade out. The red one would fade on. The red one would fade out. The green ones would fade back on, as if they were oscillating back and forth. Now, behind me, and so I turn left. I'm sort of doing this all at once, you know. Incomplete stop. There's nobody on the road. There's side roads, and I'm delivering. So I'm glancing, I'm looking, I'm turning. Now I'm going down Balch, and I'm looking up to my right, you know, up, you know, because it's up. And I can tell you how high up it was once I take that right onto North Park Street. Because now if I look off to my left, and you guys could look this up on a Google map, the WKZO radio tower is there. That's the radio station, WKZO. Oh, it used to be the television stations there too, WWMT, our local Channel 3 Sinclair sycophant bullshit channel, right? With an agenda that I don't watch anymore. So that's there. I can see that radio tower, and I can see lights blinking on that radio tower and how high it is. Of course, that's for planes. And I can tell that this craft I'm looking at is as tall as the radio tower and maybe 25 to 50% of that radio tower again added to it. So just higher than the radio tower, although they weren't in the same space. I could glance this way, see the radio tower, glance this way, see the craft or whatever I'm looking at, and tell in a plane relatively height-wise where they were at. So, however tall that radio tower is, whatever, 700 feet, something. I don't know. It can't even be that tall. It's not a 70-story building. Maybe it's 500 feet. This craft was probably less than 1,000 feet off the ground. It was big, the size of a 2-story house in a triangular pattern. So I go, oh. And in my head now, I'm going, well, are there some kind of towers, like cell phone towers or towers that are in 3 ponds or right by 3 ponds that maybe have lights on them? But that wouldn't really make sense with one being up here and then 2 being much lower in a triangle pattern with that big red one in the middle. And then suddenly, like one of our favorite people said the other night in chat, it started to rotate on its axis. So now this triangle's sitting here. And as I'm turning right onto, I wish I had longer fingers. Maybe that looks better. Anyways, like cabbagey little hands. Um, as it's turning like this. It starts turning on its own axis. But I still couldn't see a solid bodied craft besides that big red light in the middle. I was looking and looking, I'm looking and looking. It's a cloudy night. It's well below the cloud layer, whatever this is. I mean, the sky's pretty well clouded over. In fact, I can see other lights reflecting on the underneath of the clouds. If you look at the video I recorded in my short section, if you go back to my oldest videos, all of my oldest shorts are all UFO things, like the first 5. Whether it's the one I sent to Scott Roeder, this one here, or that one on the 4th of July, if anybody's interested. But that's my history with what I've seen. Now, I pulled into that parking lot, and I've told the story before. I had, of course, my phone, and I wanted to get a video. And as soon as I pointed that phone up to the sky, it was on selfie mode. It was pointed at me. I've never used that in my life, except for now when I make shorts. I wasn't making shorts back then. I just would record something, and it was a video. I would put it on Sleuth's Discord or whatever. I didn't do it as a short. And so I wasn't ever in selfie mode. Taking pictures of myself, quite frankly, has never been a comfortable thing. And so when it was on selfie mode, it's pointing at me, the camera now, right? Well, instead of just somehow flipping around the camera and trying to get something, my thumb now doesn't know where to flip it back around. It's dark. My car is dark. I don't want any light indicating that I'm watching this thing. I'm leaving my car as dark. There's no interior light. And my fat thumbs don't know where this button's at because I never use it. So by the time I look down at the phone and finally find the flip it around camera button, flip it back to the front and get it back out the window, there are no lights anywhere. So clearly it wasn't a warning light for a cell tower or any of that, or they would have just still been there or since then. And believe me, every night I drive by that Three Ponds when I'm working or in town, I glance up over there. There are no lights. There's no green. There's no red. There's no nothing. There's no white. There's no yellow. Still got the old radio tower over there. And that's when I knew that I had seen something. I mean, it was without question. It was silent, it was large, and it was gone in the blink of an eye, literally, before I could get anything on film. But then I did record right then. That's when I started recording. And even though the craft isn't there, you'll hear maybe the emotion in my voice or the area in the sky that the craft was in. Like, oh my God, there was just a UFO there. And then, of course, the next one I recorded was, yes. Boston asked, so, Farmer, do you remember everything of that evening after you try to take that photo? Yes, I do. Everything. I don't think I have any missing time. I mean, I don't recognize any missing time on that. It was just gone. And I think it was over water because we hear so many times that there's something in water that charges some of these things. And there are a lot of electrical lines running through downtown. Large, they carry power to neighborhoods right through that crosstown parkway. It's very active electrically. The city's main water pump house station has always been right there. There's a lot going on right there, infrastructure-wise, for our city. But the size of it certainly outsizes any kind of modern-day drone. I mean, this thing was enormous. The light pattern, I should say, or spread on those green lights was clearly, at least a two-story house. I don't know of any drones that big. So that I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's ours, theirs, or if it's technology we got from them or something we just developed. To me, it's not really the point. It's pretty weird. And if it is a military operation, well, why are you flying unknown craft over high populated areas where some accident could happen? So I have got to believe it's not ours. Whatever that means, it's part of the phenomenon. Thank you, Boston. So then, yeah, the second one was just the one that's recorded there that I sent to Scott, and that's of the orbs, and that's one day before the same kind of incursion of those orbs over Virginia, over the military base there, which there's video of. Same exact orbs. They look like giant flaming basketballs. Everything's roiling in the middle. Looks like lava. and it just starts scooting across the sky. First, it's just there, right? And then you acknowledge it, and it starts going like this across. It's disking across the sky, right above the roof and tree lines. So that's probably the most interesting UFO sighting I had, in my opinion. But that first one with those green lights and that red one in the middle, because it was so beyond and there were no lights there then afterwards, I have no choice but to think that either someone had 4 individual little drones and they were messing with Derek Farmer that night and putting things in geometric patterns for me so I'd freak out, or I witnessed the phenomenon. And I'm not going to make excuses for myself or anyone else. You see what you see, folks. Boston, you saw what you saw with your people. You know what you saw and what matte black is. The blackest of blacks. You know. So I wouldn't ever sit here and say you didn't see that, I wish you would have got a video or pictures of it, but we're not always walking around with cameras and video recorders or whatever. So let me take a puff here. How's everybody doing tonight? Who's everybody? I don't know. They're in for a second. I know it's pretty late. It's 1 here in the morning, and I wasn't even going to do this, but I'm just trying to, I like to keep my my broadcasting skills somewhat, if I can call them those. That's a little pretentious. Whatever this thing is I do, I like to keep it somewhat fresh in my mind. I don't like to let too much time pass. One, I don't want you guys to forget about me. People that do things publicly, they think, well, I'm so great, everyone's always going to remember me, and I don't even put myself in that category or class of thank you, Mustang. People, I don't think I'm that interesting or anything worth setting your time for, but at the same time, I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I guess that's why I'm here, because ultimately I love talking to you guys and I love just being here doing this. And if I can convince one person that this goddamn phenomenon is happening, then I feel like I would have done something. Whatever it is, I'm open to that end of it. I'm open to the end of it's God or it's, this or that. I mean, I find this Collins elite within our Air Force or Army or wherever they're at to be quite interesting. If you guys have ever heard of them. And I think it's the Air Force, and they refuse to investigate any of these phenomenon within that unit, within that whole structure, because they believe that they are demonic in nature. So they're not saying, hey, it's a waste of time to investigate this stuff. It's a waste of money. That doesn't exist. What they're saying is, this is evil. And by giving it attention, you're giving attention to evil, and you're inviting negative things to happen to our planet. So they fully believe in the phenomenon, more so in the woo-woo of the phenomenon, the part people don't like talking about, whatever the woo is. What we see is the magic of it, the magic of the movement, the magic of the disappearing and the realigning. But really, it's just science we don't understand. So if we don't understand something, it appears to be magical or supernatural in nature. That's how us humans think. If we can't explain it, then my goodness, God must be making it, or a spirit must have wished it into existence, rather than a more prosaic explanation of scientific fact. Boston says, well, yes, I do too. We were at work in front huge glass windows. But as I think back on it, my coworker and I lost time that day. Everything was out of sorts. Several fighter jets, off to the north. That's interesting. I have a feeling the letter limit probably cut off your thought there. So go ahead and finish your thought if you want, Boston. I'll put it up. I know that gets frustrating. You get a whole thought out, and then all of a sudden you can't get the last 3 words out to make the damn point. I do that all the time on shows. Right. So how many coworkers saw this with you, Boston? And didn't you have some official contact about this whole thing? I'd love to hear this story. God, I wish you would come on and tell that sometime. Or even just tell me the whole story, and I could come on and, you could do it from the chat and say, hey, you're getting it right, or something. It's an interesting story, I bet. Okay. Oh, this little stick I found, if you don't use it every 5 minutes, it turns itself off. That's handy, saves battery. Well, I mean, one witness with you is more than a lot of people get, you know. Fighter jets flying around watching this thing. Wow. That must have been quite a scene. And this is a daytime sighting. I'm assuming you're working in an office or something. So it's a daytime sighting. All my sightings have been at night, with the exception of what I consider now, going back in my mind, my first sighting as a small child on my way to Washington, D.C. But I only saw a little gray dot in the sky that didn't make any sense, and then the gray dot flew off really quick and disappeared. I'm the only one in the car that saw it, so I never really counted that one, but I never forgot it either. Never forgot it. Had no wings or nothing, you know. I mean, I like the air show, Kalamazoo. I live right by the airport, you know. I mean, I like planes, trains, automobiles, you know. I'm from a transportation state, you know. And I never seen none of this shit before. But yeah, the triangle one is weird because it's kind of the triangle one kind of, I'll be honest with you, boss, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. Because then they got the right, they go, well, it's just our secret tech. Yeah, that's a bunch of BS. Some of these triangles are small, like a car. Those, like, that was what was kind of the biggest sighting over Rendlesham in that famous 1980 sighting in Rendlesham military base in England. It was like a weird sort of triangular, even with a dome, almost. Not, they don't call it equilateral. It's called some other kind of triangle. What do they call that? I call it irregular triangle because I can't ever think of the right word. But it's just me and you, Boston. You can put up whatever you want. No one gives a shit. They tuned in and tuned out. Oh, one coworker. He said he will never discuss it, but he was holding my hand while my arm too. There was energy coming off of it, in a weird energy. Wow. There's so many anomalies, you know. He said he will never discuss it. So he's never admitted that he saw it, but you guys know. You can look at each other and just know. Yeah, I have an aunt like that. She with my mom's sighting, you know, because my mom had that in '66, their big sighting, along with the girls in Hillsdale College and the farm in Webster, Michigan, Frank Manor, when Jalen Hynek came here. Anyways, my aunt saw it, but now she's a Christian, you know, and she won't even acknowledge that she saw a UFO. She said, "Oh, it was an angel or something," you know, ascending quickly. So, you know, people like to put their own. It's like the orbs, you know. I've heard a lot of people with the indoor orbs, and I've seen videos from personal friends where there are dozens of these moving at one time, as if it's a volley of orbs. Some lighter, some darker, boss. I don't know if I ever sent you that, like, via email or anything. I have a video that no one else has even seen from my buddy's shop. He has his guy that put in his security thing is really good, and he has high-end sensors. And ever since he put those in, he's been recording multiple orb activities. And one that I recorded is so bright, it comes. I fell down earlier. It comes down from the ceiling, almost looks like it's on a string, and it's about the size of a softball. The indoor ones are about softball size, and this thing comes down. And when I say bright, like a headlight on bright, and then you're trying to record it, like, it's brilliantly bright. Does a little weird floaty around thing, and then goes right back up. And this thing is so bright and self-illuminated, it puts light off in a round spot as it's moving on the ceiling. People go, that's a bug reflection. I go, bugs don't self-illuminate on the ceiling. It's incredible. It looks like the light on the ceiling as it's moving, which is just a reflection of the orb itself, is attached with almost an umbilical cord to the orb. And it's a brilliant white blue. You can't even see through it. Now, some of the other ones I've seen, they're more opaque, and they kind of are more floaty, like orbiting through the air. This thing looked like it was high intensity electricity on a string. It was like, and then went back up. Real weird. If if you ever want to, djfarmer.llc@gmail.com. If you ever want to email me, I'll send you that personally if you promise never to put that out. Because it's not my video, it's copyrighted, and also it's a good friend, my only good friend left in town, pretty much. I was saying I can tell he's a little uncomfortable with subject matter, so we don't really. But he was sending me for a while. I have several from him, or videos from inside of his shop. That after he got this high-end security system with these updated chips, it started recording all kinds of shit. And if you look at Ryan Graves, who is the military Navy pilot, he said after a sensor upgrade, we started seeing a lot more of this stuff. DJFARMER.LLC@gmail. The LLC would be if I ever started my own business, as in limited liability company. But DJ Farmer, Derek Jason Farmer. My middle name is Jason. I'll put that up for you guys. Jayson. That's my middle name. But that's not in my email. I'm just telling you that because no one else knows it. And since it's just you and me, oh, there's 5 people here all of a sudden. This internet is so weird. It could be 0 people for the whole hour, and then right before you want to go off, there's 23 people. It's like, where did you all come? Were you guys hanging out somewhere else and then came over here? Like, I don't know. Me and Boston been talking for like an hour. I don't know where y'all been. Other than as usual lately, I just go live. I don't put the a big plan up. I find that if I try to plan for a show and make all these notes and crap, it comes off rather disingenuous, in my opinion. I like to just turn it on and go, but some shows will need to be a little more thought out. But not these late night just us hanging out shows. I don't want to think about that ahead of time. I mean, when you guys go hang out with a friend or wherever you're at, do you think about it 8 hours ahead of time what the conversation is going to be? No. You just have the damn conversation, and where it goes, it goes. I like that. So hi to anybody in here. People pop in and pop out. I mean, it's late, I get it. I get it. Sensi will be waking up soon and having tea. I'm also having tea. I did manage to have a couple tea bags tonight, so I stopped and saw Mom today. We're gonna go out to lunch tomorrow. So forth. She's gonna float me a little mom cash. I love my mom. I mean, even if she didn't have any cash, I'd still love her. She's been most supportive. It's been a rough time, out here for me. I say rough. Could be rougher. Got a roof over my head. And like Junior Johnson says, who's fast asleep right now because he works hard and he's, not getting any younger. You got to work harder and you got to work longer, basically. I mean, Junior's giving me some really tough love type advice, like, well, you're not making enough money because you don't have a job that pays you enough, basically, But I appreciate that. The thought, it's a little, it hurts sometimes, but I don't ever just sit around here waiting for money to fall out of the sky for me. I mean, I'm constantly trying to work and make money. Oh, well, I don't like Cash App. I did it once. The only time I ever had Cash App was for Sleuth because he preferred Cash App. He said they charged him less. I got PayPal and Venmo, but I would never ask for. Yeah, I put it up there, but these kind of shows here, this is like us hanging out, where you might see me maybe push that tip narrative a little bit more for me would be like if I do a big interview show with somebody. That's where I'm making notes. That's where I'm studying. Someday me and Skip Jansen will do an interview. And when I go into something like that, I don't just turn on the camera. It may appear that I just turned on the camera, but no, I've already studied them quite succinctly on that person. On no Cash App because I just don't feel like panhandling for cash. And not many people use it except around this forum. So if I have a personal friend that I'm borrowing money from or a family member, they typically use PayPal or no, not at all. No, Venmo doesn't cost. No, PayPal and Venmo don't cost anything for. Oh, my internet is being difficult. Am I coming in okay, Boston? I went out a couple times. Hang on, I gotta take a drink of tea here. Oh yeah, we reuse everything here. Here's the old cream container. We'll make tea in that, and then we'll get rid of it and recycle it. Okay. Oh, Mustang, I didn't even know you were here. Oh my god. Hello. Hi, Mustang. Great life. You think so? Did you see me read the memo? I love reading those memos. I really do. It's such a great opener for me for a show to take 20 minutes, read this memo. It's if you guys find it interesting, I mean, I really do. Reading through it, I read through it the first time with you guys, just so you know. Like, I glance to see that I have the right memo or that it's of the subject matter I'm looking for. But both times now, it's not the memo I thought it was when I started reading it, but still very interesting. Oh, well, how about if I just put it up in the here, DJ Farmer.llc. I'm like you, I'm old school. I like to see it and know. There you go. Yeah, you hit me up anytime on the email there. It might take me a day or two to get back, but I always look over my email. It's the only email address I use, so um anytime. Anytime, yeah, and oh gosh, well Mustang, it's only, in the middle of the night. So yeah. But yeah, anyways, those memos, it's such a great way for me to sort of break in, and then we have something to kind of open the conversation up with, I mean, it does seem to be of the subject matter that I like talking about, and it feels natural to talk about it, and some of these things literally blow me away, and I love sharing them with you guys. Like, I mean, to me that memo is screaming, guys, we're not alone, and we know it as a military, we know it as a government, we know it as a people, but we're not telling the common folks like us about it. This is all going to come out, and apparently there are still hearings that are going forward in a week or so. That are going to be talking about this subject matter once again. So, but yeah, Boston, I'll have to dig out that video, that orb video that I'm talking. I don't share that when I'm on my channel because, I mean, I tried to do some things to obscure the background so you couldn't see like what was in the background because I don't want to give too much away as it's a shop, it's a shop, and he doesn't want that, and he's a very good friend. So, but I would love for you to see this video I'm talking about. It's really, when you talk orb videos, $120 a month for some shit that don't work right. Jari, no, I gotta stay on now. I just already cut it, but Jari's here. How you doing, Jari? Did a little read tonight of the General Twining memo from Air Material Command, September 47, regarding the flying disc issue, authenticated by the Robert and Ryan S. Wood Foundation. But Jari's saying hi to everyone. Jari, it's everyone just being tonight, you, Mustang, and Boston. So it's just the four of us. Just the four of us. Jari's saying good to see everyone. I agree. It can just be our no. Boston, not on the ones I'm going to send you personally. It was indoors. And that's why I make the distinction between stage 1, 2, and 3 orbs. What I saw outside, I consider stage 1, and what I think is, 1. Stage 2 would be the smaller ones indoors, and I think they translate information between each other. I think it's a control system. These orbs are everywhere. And by the way, this isn't the only friend who has shown me an orb video. There was one from a Ring doorbell. My buddy the other day I stopped by to see. His wife is a survivor. She's awesome too, and she's been through it, boy. But she is a survivor of some real heavy, hard medical crap, and the big C crap. And she's such a wonderful person, and he is also wonderful. And he goes, "Look at this orb in my video, Derek." He goes, "This is Neither, Boston. They were blue. They were light blue. More blue, more like a electric blue. Yeah. But whitish. I would put them in the white spectrum. Not yellow, not orange. Like, that's what I was going to say. Like, I noticed that the one that he recorded was about the same size, that softball size that Lou Elizondo talks about. But his was outdoors on his front porch, just kind of floating around by the no one got knocked down. No, this is just something. It caused their Ring video doorbell to go off. Like, hey, it gave them an alert, like something moved. It gave them a motion alert. They looked at it, and it was just an orb, big, opaque. You could see right through it, but like a big blue bubble. Not big, softball-sized blue bubbles, sort of floating around very slowly, very innocently, whatever that means. Yeah, well, they oftentimes, Jari, from what I'm kind of figuring out, is that they follow the same patterns for possibly years or decades, I think. And so these orbs will be seen, and I mean the same pattern, like that one I'm talking about, Boston, earlier, where it's so intense. Oh, and by the way, I blew that thing up on, I took a picture of the video and then blew it up. It's a sphere with a cube inside of it. You can clearly see a cube inside the sphere. Now, they talk about a sphere inside the cube flying. This was round with a cube touching each corner of the sphere, softball size. And it's so bright and brilliant that you can see a spot about the size of an old silver dollar on the ceiling 20 foot above it, moving in conjunction with this orb. Bugs do not do that. They do not. You don't get a double reflection. It's crazy what I got on film, and it's not public. Yeah, orbs go through things. Yeah. Yeah, they have full ability to go through any material that we know of, as far as I can tell. Unless there's something out there that may blunt that, but it would be some secret knowledge I don't have. But yeah, so what was your question earlier? Oh, you asked me something. Oh, or maybe you were just talking about it, Jari. Oh, Boston. Did she see it too, and did it knock them down? No, no, and no on that. But it's on video forever. You know, I mean, neither one of them saw it live. Like I said, they got the motion alert, which is how my friend gets his through his shop. As soon as he leaves his shop and turns his security alarm on, he tells me this. He goes, "It's like a party starts in my shop. I start getting motion alerts nonstop, and I look, and it's weird orbs flying all over my shop." And he has sent me I have the videos, you guys. I mean, more than one. I already got 7 or 8 videos from him of different orbs flying around. But there's one that stands out. It's so intense that I'm convinced that it's the best orb video ever recorded. I've never seen one of. There's a couple, man. I'll tell you, you want to watch a great orb video? It's one I've only seen. I don't know if you guys can even find it. I think maybe Jim Quirk played it. There's a boy like in Mexico, right? And I say a boy, this is back in the 90s. He's maybe 11, 12 years old. And they have a family VCR. And this kid loves like filming crap. You know, think about the time, late 80s, early 90s, when you could sort of get a mini cam thing and record things. And you're bugging your parents and trying to make them curse at you on camera. Get out of here, shithead, or whatever, you know, because you're shooting spit wads at them or something, you know. So this kid starts recording it, and it's an outdoor orb. A more descriptor, about the size of a soccer ball. This thing flies around the entire city, his town, and he records it. You ever watch, let me ask you guys, are around my age, I think. Yeah, right, this was not a bug. I know, Jari, and it's so insulting, you know, when people do that to you. That's it's not insulting. I get everyone's first reaction, but when the video I sent Scott Roeder, I'm like, I got a couple. They're insisting it's cop drones. He goes, Farmer. He actually didn't say this, but he said it's legit, Farmer. There are no cop drones that the entire craft, which is round with no wings, propellers, nothing, is completely self-illuminated. People are forgetting about the self-illumination of these things, where not just a light on it is on, but the entire blob is lit. Well, very possible. I mean, I would highly doubt that she really knows what's going on, Jari. A lot of people, that's what I was saying earlier, like to think they know. They, well, it's the souls of the dead, or it's spirits moving through the air. I don't even know. I have my own theories. Like I said, I think it's an advanced security system for the people that either live ultra terrestrially below our feet or from a different time dimension. And basically, it's relaying information, and that the silver ones, that there's many recordings of silver orbs, solid metal orbs flying through the air over Mosul, over the Buga sphere. All these are happening. The Betts family sphere, that really, those are the things in transport. They're just in transport. That's why they're not, accepting. They're not transponding information at that point. So they're not all lit up. But there's plenty of reports. Like if you listen to somebody like Chris Bledsoe, who it started with a large orb, that looked like two suns setting, but then it came towards him. And this orb is like 20 feet diameter orb, that there are beings and creatures inside the orbs themselves. Maybe it's a transportation device. The smaller ones inside, I'm not so sure. I still feel like those are gathering intel, basically a grid pattern. They fly around, they gather whatever intel, and then we act as the security system. See, de facto, humans are going to do something called self-preservation. Okay, we're going to protect ourselves from harm or death 99% of the time, right? If we can help it. And like if we see we're driving our car towards a wall at 100 miles an hour, and all we have to do is move the wheel and avoid the wall and avoid dying, we're going to move the car and miss the wall unless we're trying to die, right? But in the normal course of our day, we're just going to move a little bit and miss the wall. I mean, that same thing applies when, I was going to bring it all together. It's getting late, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. I did have a point, though. Boston says, Jari, wow, see if you can find it later. Maybe you can send it to Farmer. That'd be great. Yeah. I won't put it out publicly if you don't want me to. That's nothing I'm good with that stuff, you guys, and I trust you guys, but at least make sure she's got it saved or someplace where she can send it. I sent my, not just to Scott, but I sent other places too, a couple online reporting centers, MUFON. I tried to send it there. I just kept getting the email back, rejected, unable to send. I thought that was weird. These orbs represent something. See, because those aren't those hard craft that everyone talks about. Like that memo we read tonight together, that's describing hard craft material, actual materials. Hey, Big Fish, how are you? Good. Welcome from the West Coast, Big Fish, Small Pond. Those are hard materials, and that's such a different thing than what these orbs are. Something you can't really grasp onto, like Jari said, something that can come through walls, come through basically any structure. Yeah, I know it. The first time I ever heard of orbs, I laughed off a friend who had pictures from an old 35 millimeter that said, look, every time I take pictures with this camera, there's all these bubbles around these people. And I go, that's just catching light. I did what everybody else does. And she's like, no. She's like, these things are alive. And I'm like, you are fucking crazy. Don't talk to me about it again, or we can't be friends. That's what we do to people. I'm guilty of it as well, you guys. Just because I'm more open now, I was a science atheist for most of my life. Derek Farmer isn't a real churchgoer. I believe in the goodness of people. I don't, and that. But a lot has changed to me over the last couple of years. I do believe in a higher power now. So these things can change, not for the better or worse. I'm not professing or I'm not going to attempt that word. Preaching to anyone else is what I want to say. When I get my bridge, we'll go over that word. My defunct bridge to nowhere for my mouth. What I call the Monon mouth bridge. I'm sorry. It's late. F out. I know Delphi humor isn't good. I never try to make it. Yeah, well, a lot of people feel a connection to these orbs. By the way, that they help guide them. Chris Bledsoe calls them UFOs of God. What a great title for his book, But he's been studied by every governmental agency we have, NASA, CIA, NSA. Everybody's been to his house. They go there. They stay the night with him. Why are they wasting time with all that if this guy can't summon real things? By the way, I'm of the opinion that as far as CE5 events go, I'm not taking part in that. We're messing with things we don't know what we're messing with when we're looking up at the sky and going, I'm inviting you to be with me. I'm making an emotional connection with you. You're opening yourself up to be tricked by something. Because what we know from perpetrators in life, if we're talking about true crime, and I contend that the true crime subject and the phenomenon go in hand investigatively. Whatever that word is. Okay? Why? Because they're both so anomalous. When you're trying to find a cold case serial killer, re-going over the facts and the actual hard facts is so important, and the witness testimony can sometimes, as we know, be so confusing and so unsettling that you can't trust it. Same thing with UFOs. People never trust the witness testimony. People always think they know what someone else is saying or doing. People are having these experiences, and there's been millions of people around the world now. So if you guys have had them too, you're not alone, but I do think disclosure's on the way. They're making moves behind the scenes to roll out. Keep in mind, Spielberg's movie Disclosure has not come out yet. That will be coming out. He's always been tied to this phenomenon, Steven Spielberg, in a movie maker way. Be it E.T. or Close Encounters. Both of those huge. I think he even did Flight of the Navigator, another huge one in the actual realm. In Flight of the Navigator, which I saw at the movie theater with my mom when I was a boy that age, the kid flies the ship how? With his mind. No one was talking about that back then. That a consciously driven engine is part of the propulsion system. And that these things, let me see what Jerry's saying here. Hang on. Jerry says, I bet they're angels to demons or just extraterrestrials. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. But I mean, if they are extra dimensional terrestrials, future us's, whatever they are, spirits, demons, ghosts, who knows? Energy of some sort, a grand designer of a nature, if you will. I think that there are multi-layers of this. I think there are multi-species of what's going on, and they're traveling in multiple ways. And I think they interact with each other outside of us as humans also. So we as humans have such a way of sort of relating everything around us. But what if we're just a small piece of sand in that, and that there's this whole other, universe going on out there that really doesn't involve us, and they're partying all night long, I can't say anymore that I'm a science atheist. What I can tell you is that I don't believe in magic, but I do believe in magic now, I guess. Once I can see science, well, let me reverse that. Once I see magic scientifically proven, it's hard not to believe in magic. And I call that magic the double slit experiment using electrons or protons. If you watch an example of that, I don't know how you come away with, after knowing that, the end result of that experiment. Yeah, a lot of people, I've never seen an angel. I sure like to, because I relate angels with the good things, and I relate Jesus Christ with good things. And I think it's very possible that that if you use these symbols in times of evil or danger, that they can help and protect you, and that would be Jesus Christ's name, and the Virgin Mother, and other symbols as well that mean all the good, positive light, the angels, the good stuff, and that all bad, evil things have an antidote, and that God or Jesus Christ or the Virgin Mother, John the Baptist, these folks understood something that we don't. That these things are coming here to do harm to us. They want something from us. What don't they have? What do we have that they don't have? Because clearly, they could. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that there must have been something protecting me the day that sent my conservation officer to me in that deep dark woods, so I didn't end up a pile of bones in the ground by a perpetrator. He said, I mean, even the guy said, I don't normally come up here like this in the middle of the day, but it had rained the night before real hard, and he just wanted to make sure everybody was okay. He had a feeling to go on back there. What is that? I don't know. Oh, Jerry wants to know the one thing we have. No, I think it's our soul, Jerry. No, science says we don't have a soul. And when we die, our light goes out, and that's it. I don't think I believe that anymore. I think we do have a soul. I think we go on and on. And I think that trying to stay on the good side of things with good names like Jesus Christ and God and the Virgin Mother and John the Baptist and Noah and people like that, the good folks, entities, whatever they are, to acknowledge their goodness and to have faith in it is not a bad thing. I think it's maybe one of the few things that provides some protection against this taking of our soul, against our will. That's what I kind of think loosely. That's an opinion. That's an opinion. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you guys got to believe that. 600 years. Oh, yeah, Boston, yeah. I remember you. That's a long time to get. It sounds like he probably should have just been saved the state some money and just taken them out right there. But fortunately for me, I wasn't actually harmed physically, other than whatever emotional torment being alone at 11 in the middle of a woods with a gun to your head could do to you. I didn't actually get molested. I didn't actually get shot. I didn't get stabbed like so many kids do, and so many adults do. And I'm real grateful for that. And that's why I do these shows, partly, is because I got that break that a lot of people don't. And I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you. And that's why I also, even at 11 years old, knew it was my responsibility to go to that courtroom and to get up on that stand and to face his defense attorney, his attorney, saying things like I did something to turn him on at 11. Well, what did you do to turn him on? Objection, Your Honor. That's a shitty question for an 11-year-old boy on a stand not knowing what the hell's going on, don't you think? Yeah, Jerry, me too. Me too. Thank you. And I'm glad Boston was also. I'm sure Boston had to go through a few more things than I had to go through, but the fact that you're here on the other side to talk about it makes me happy that you're here. No, I don't think so, Boston. I really don't. I think anybody would have done in that situation what I did, mostly. Unless the families were embarrassed by it. See, I didn't have a family like that. My family would get right in your face if you know. And my grandma being a Jehovah's Witness, my grandpa an atheist, they knew the evils of the world. And actually, very much so, were ready for me to go into that courtroom. My grandma took handwritten notes like a stenographer the entire time, which I've never been able to find. But she was there every day. It was more than a one-day deal. I was there all week testifying. And yeah, you got to stare people down. Well, can you point that person out in the courtroom? Oh, yeah, no problem. Right there. And he went for 10 years. But again, 10 years is pretty good when the intention was there, when he had a duffel bag full of knives and duct tape and filthy pictures and notes for me to read out loud these terrible acts to do. That's how Sergeant Gomes of the Michigan State Police actually got this guy, because he wouldn't admit it, and I was having a hard time verbalizing what had gone on at that moment. So he took a copy of this disgusting note that I was to read. The perpetrator was going to have me read, that had a lot of sexual acts and things in it to read out loud for some reason. Whatever he wanted that for, some kind of gratification. So when Sergeant said, anyways, the sergeant rewrote the note, but he left out a couple key words. And he said, I want you to look at this note and recopy it. Well, when he recopied it, he added those words back into that note. Boom. You can't say you didn't write that note, because those words weren't in it when I had you write it from copy. They were in there originally, but I deleted those two small words. You happen to remember them and fill them in. You're guilty. He was brilliant, Sergeant Gomes. He had over an 80% solve rate on his murder. He was a homicide detective. Like I said, he was a homicide detective investigating my case because they believed he was going to murder me out there. Yeah. Right. Guilty, no question. Plus, firsthand witness testimony. Had the conservation officer testified. He saw the guy run with me, Yeah, Jerry, you would think it could be a negative thing if you're not part of it, but I'll be honest with you. Even my grandpa being an atheist, he always allowed my grandma, I say allowed, it was never a conflict between them. He'd say, grandma's got her time and her thing. I like to go to the casino and gamble a little. That's what I do. My grandpa was a truck driver. He worked a lot. He said, well, Julie likes to go to church and be with her friends. It's a real friend church where you're hanging out and studying and talking and having tea and lunch all the time and walking around together. It's not a meet once a week kind of church. You're there 3-4 nights a week. And it didn't bug him at all, and she loved that he was so open about it. And it really added to their relationship, to be honest with you. I would go when I was a kid, and my grandpa, said, look, finally he goes, don't pressure these kids to go to church with you. If they want to, they will. That's how my family was. And when this thing happened to me with this perpetrator, we didn't shy away from it as a family. We completely confronted it. We were in court, all of us together. They were very supportive. And that's probably why I can talk about it just so openly today, even though, it'd probably be a lot harder had a sexual act happened. That was clearly the intent. Boston says, I know it sounds crazy story, but it's true. An angel that takes you up in the universe to dance to Cowboys to Girls. I don't know, Boston. Look, I don't go to church. Now, I won't say I'll never go. I might give that a try again. I don't want to rule anything out in my life anymore. No, this happened to me when I was 11. I'm 52 now, so I was a 10-year sentence. I got to believe he's out. In fact, I saw him once when I was, he must have got out a little early. I must have been about 19. And I know it was him going into this local grocery store because he lived in my neighborhood where I grew up. And I just looked, I go, I hope you're not the person I think you are. And he just got the fuck out of there really quick. And it just took me a minute to go, oh my God, that was him. Thing is, he reoffended with his brother. After he got out from me sending him to prison, he went back to prison. They were at the park taking upskirt shots of 4-year-old girls. Let that shit sink in. They should have put a plug in that cocksucker's head right there. Yeah, that was on the news. My grandma said, have you seen the news? I said, no, what? She goes, don't get upset, honey. She goes, Norm Jones. That was his name. Norm Jones was his name. Am I afraid to say that? No. You're guilty of being a child pederass, You're a pederass. And you deserve to have your name out there. Of course he reoffended. In fact, there were dirty pictures of other kids he had offended in the trunk of his car in the middle of Yankee Springs National Forest where he took me. So he didn't just offend and take pictures. He was a photographer. What do you think I was doing with him? He had some scheme cooked up. He worked with my mom. It was 1982. No one heard of Adam Walsh really yet, you know? Especially because it's someone you knew. You were afraid of stranger danger. This wasn't a stranger to my mom. She had given him a ride to work after his stupid LTD broke down. He had one of the no, it's not a um Boston said of course he did. And apparently, I'm guessing that it must have ran in his family since he was doing this shit with his own brother. Right. So the parents must have abused them. I mean, how else do you have two boys that are abusing little kids and the parents are abusing them? And that's terrible. But when you're an adult and you've been abused, then you know what kind of torturous shit that is. How do you then justify doing that to a kid? You don't get to use that circle of abuse circle shit anymore. I'm sorry. You know what's right and wrong, folks. We all do. And just because you've been abused doesn't give you the right to go and abuse somebody and to continue that cycle of abuse. Try to break it if you can. And I'm not speaking to anyone in this chat room. Yeah. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of I don't know, maybe I need to reset it or something. Um oh yeah. Yeah, I think so too, Jerry. I think you can be spiritual without going to church, but now because I'm getting a little bit more into the symbolic dogma of it in a actual real way, not as negative. I think I actually want to go to church and be in the place, be in the temple, be in with the person professing to know these things. So I think I'm going to go to church soon. Yeah. I'll probably go to Catholic church, probably like Mass, you know. That's what I've always done before, besides Jehovah's Witnesses. I've been to a couple holy roller churches, you know. I'm okay with that. I'd probably perform well there. I just find it a little. I like what I like about the Catholic process is the symbolic, the sort of regulated systemology of it. It's not just like, hey, come on in, we're having a jubilee. Let's have some punch and donuts, and everyone's partying and praise Jesus. That's great when you're praising Jesus, but what I like about the a more strict protocol is just that. It's a protocol. It's following a set of rules, and I think that plays part in this other phenomenon. Does that make sense? And so you sort of need a black and white area. And I feel like the Catholics probably provide that, as far as I can tell, as well as anybody, or better than anybody. Ritual, right. You hate to relate that with religion, but it does come down to a lot of, ritual. Not all rituals are satanic, folks. Just because you hear the word ritual doesn't mean that you're worshiping Satan, whatever that means, because that's its own whole thing too, But right, the ritual of it. Kind of think like almost like chanting by indigenous folks, a certain stomping of the feet in a pattern or rhythm that causes something else greater to hear it, or it resonates into a higher thing, Yeah. And I like that whole thing where the Catholics in the middle, they say, now turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself, basically. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. To all the strangers around you. And I feel like that's what we do here a little bit in our way, not Catholic way, but in our way. We're reaching across the digital landscape and saying, peace be with you. And peace be with you, my friend. We do that amongst ourselves and recognize each other by saying hello, by saying, how are you doing tonight? And making human conversation and connections like we do here. That's why I like this show. That's why I like this outlet. And that's why I don't ask for money. So, going forward, I'm not going to ask for money. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not even going to ask you to like it. Just watch it if you like it. When we finally reach 1,000 subscribers, there'll be natural options for people to float me all the same tips that everybody else gets, all them super chats and that crap. But I ain't gonna sit here begging for them. That's for sure. Well, one would argue I am a writer. I'm a verbal writer. I've never tried writing. I don't feel I have the skills. I don't enjoy reading that much. I enjoy reading a lot more now. I always felt like reading was like homework, I didn't enjoy it like some of my friends, like you couldn't pry these books out of their hands, And I get halfway through a book, I'd love the story, but then I would never finish the second half. Even though it was a great book. I still don't know what happened in the second half of The Stand. I got halfway through in like 6th grade. That was it. Loved it. Yeah, frequency, right. Yeah, certain frequency. They telegraph a certain message, and maybe more than telegraphing a certain message, like a transponder, it also opens you up to receive messages. But I won't do CE5 stuff where I'm pointing laser beams in the sky and trying to beckon things that I don't understand. Or I won't do Ouija board. Oh yeah, sure. Parker Brothers they sell it at Toys R Us. I know I bought one, and my mom made me get back in the car with my driving permit and take it back to the store for the money back or move out of her house. And my mom wasn't a religious person, but she wouldn't allow a Ouija board in her house, and I thank her for that. She didn't want to invite things. These things are looking to attach with us. Once they do that, we are subject to their every emotional whim. Just like we can be manipulated by a predator or an online scammer, we can be manipulated by NHI. Oh, suddenly they fill you with this lovely emotion that things are great. Making you feel any emotion outside of what you would naturally feel, good or bad, is a control method. Okay? It's a control method. Terrorists use it to crack you. They'll make you feel shitty. Good cop, bad cop. It's a control method. So when people say these things fill me with the greatest light in the world, my question is, what are they getting out of it? Why are they filling you with light? And why are you believing that that light is good? I question everything. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean I know anything about them. But to just give it a stamp of something that I consider human, what you're from, and what your intentions are before you have my support. Whether you're from here or another planet or below our feet or a different time space. A great novel. Oh yeah. Boston says, Jari, what is The Stand? I mean, I think they tried to make a couple shitty movies out of it. You got to read the book. I mean, I got to read the book again because I never finished the damn book, but not because it was a bad book. The book was great. I was so into it. I just was, 15 years old and probably drove to someone's house and got stoned and threw the book out the window. I don't remember, but I love The Stand. Mother Abigail, what a story. I mean, as a kid, when I read that, it just blew me away. I mean, it would give me goosebumps right now thinking about that book. It's so good. It's so good. I encourage everyone to read The Stand by Stephen King. He truly is a great writer. He gets a lot of shit. Some kind of pop writer. To me, and I don't know a lot about authors, and I don't really know great writers, but I sure do like me some Stephen King books. Oh, wow. That's awesome. No, that's not weird. You like to collect things you like. I've had many of those kinds of things through the years of things I like. I even had a whole eBay site where I used to sell them until eBay screwed me over. But, so I guess, I've always been personally interested in phenomenons in general. Oddities. I mean, it's a lot of the TV we watched, like I said, in the 70s and early 80s. When you're a kid, you may not be into all those detective shows or that heavy romance drama. And so we would watch shows like $6 Million Man or the Leonard Nimoy hosted thing where Beyond, I can't think of it now, where they had Bigfoot stories or Loch Ness Monster, UFOs. I mean, I don't see a more special time. Maybe it's just because I'm super sentimental than me being a 6 or 7-year-old boy laying on my living room floor, because all boys like to lay on the floor versus a couch or a chair when you're that age. You don't need furniture, for Christ's sakes, when you're a kid. No room to move around on furniture, and you just get yelled at for bouncing on it anyways. So you just stay on the floor, I lived on the floor. Had my own whole space. But and I would watch these programs, and you'd be fighting with the rabbit ears, to get the channel to come in. Right when they were showing the UFO, the damn TV would sort of get a bunch of static, Oh, Project Blue Balls. Yeah, Blue Beam. Well, I think it's possible. I think that is something that is clearly in the documents. Project Blue Beam, that has been part of the control group's plan for a long time. But again, it seems that we're dealing with every aspect of this phenomenon not being truthful or a trickster element, be it the humans involved in talking about it, the militaries, the control group, or the phenomenon itself. No one's being honest. So I don't believe any of them. Is it going to be false? Is it going to be real? Is it going to be all at once? Is it going to be a slow hybridization? There are too many people on this planet. We know that as humans. We cannot sustain ourselves. We keep going like this. 8 billion plus. Resources drying up left and right. We're overpopulated. Somebody's going to have to go. Is that their plan? Is it the Georgia Guidestones sort of plan of things, where we have to maintain 300 million or less on the cover of the earth, the face of the earth, to maintain a nature human balance that doesn't hurt the earth at all? I don't know. Guys. I don't know the answers to these things, but what I do know is that I hope to be here with you to figure them out. I want to say tonight, thank you and welcome to the Mountaintop in the Swamp. You've been listening to the Derek Farmer Network. This is Derek Farmer, your host. I want to thank Boston Christian on Boston, saying that's why I thought about Delphi. I thought there was evil around him, and I think the angels came. That's cool and sad. It's kind of sad too. Hey, Big Fish. I know I was almost just about to sign out, and then you talked about Delphi. Now I want to talk more. Good night, Big Fish. If you want to leave, go ahead. I swear to God, I was just about ready to kill it, but I think we may have to go on for at least 5 more minutes. I'm gonna light a cigarette. Oh my God. Think about how anomalous Delphi is. People say it's not anomalous. They have the killer. He's in jail. Everything's fine. But for 6 years before that weird video, the weird audio, the weird wit testimony, the switching of the sketch, those odd, ominous press conferences, is one weird case, you guys. It really is, Delphi. You think it's just going to be false? There's nothing coming here, Jari, or that whatever's coming isn't going to hurt us? Or if there is something coming, I think there's something here already, of course. And I think there's plenty of evidence things have been here. But you mean in a big way, like, hey, we're here in mass and you're ours now. Why would they even need to do that? If they already have a control system here, of some sort, though, that could... I feel like they could have already evaporated us all. But what they want, they can't get from us if we're dead. Because our soul goes to wherever it goes after we die. They need our human fleshy container that carries it. We're soul containers. And we carry around this consciousness with knowledge of the universe that we ourselves are unaware of somehow in our soul. This sort of ultimate time machine of information, all packed together in one soul, of collective and individual experience over billions of years, and rules and laws and fears and joys. And who knows what it's evolved from and into. That's so far beyond me. What I do know is that I enjoy talking about it, and I enjoy spending some time here with you guys discussing it also and pondering these things. I don't think it has to be anything that has to remain like something that you just ponder with your high school friends or your college friends, or I don't think you ever have to stop asking, well, where do we come from and what do we mean to each other and to this universe? I don't ever want to quit asking that, because maybe we don't really want the answers. Maybe the asking is the good part, because it allows this time here with us together. Maybe if we all knew the answers, we'd be like them, soulless, looking around for somewhere to have emotions and fun like we do. We have something pretty special here. Not in this channel, I mean on this planet. I hope we get back to realizing that. And that's what this channel is focused on, is our collective experience together, but also through our own unique and individual experiences. With that being said, thanks for joining me tonight, and we'll see you guys next time. I love you all. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Keep your eyes on the skies. Good night.